A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and welcome back to Nerf Secrets Revealed. So, here we are. This is officially a second part to basically what I've been talking about so far. In the previous part, you would have noticed that, simply put, I have been talking about a lot about certain Nerf franchises, especially ones that have been discontinued here and there. So, of course, right before I get on to some other subjects here, I might as well go on ahead and finish what I started. So, here we go. This is basically about certain Nerf sub-series, which are simply put just, well, franchises that coexist with the main ones here. It's kind of like with subsidiaries coexisting with the parent company of any sorts. Like the Dasani Water and Surge existing with Coca-Cola, or with, well, Nestle owning some candies like Goobers and the like. So, let's just get started here. Just like with the others, though, I mean, these sub-series happen to start around the 90s, but much later than many of the main ones. First up, I have the Head-to-Head series, which started in 1996 and ended only a year later. This is basically a competitive Nerf sports games-based series, so essentially it kind of tries to act in similar ways to how the original Nerf sports series goes off. The one that is, in fact, 48 years old right now. It's that old already. But the franchise itself is already 51 years old. On top of the fact that the Nerf ball has been around for that long, let's just say the franchise is that old. So, anyways. Next up is the Switch Shot series. They're water blasters and dart blasters at the same time. Air jet powered ones. So this is pretty much just a precursor to what the plunger tube, air restrictor sort of system has been for most Nerf internals nowadays. However, this particular series here also lasted for nearly 2 years, from 1999 to 2000. Nothing much to say there, but now let's get on into a much more recent series after that, known as the Clear series. This is basically the N-Strike subsidiary to where they have plain, crystal clear sort of colored blasters. Clear plastic with some orange accents, as Nerf is already famous for using the color orange to make it sure that it's a toy. And then, of course, there's the Red Strike series, the Sonic series, Gear Up series, Whiteout series, Fire Vision Sports, and all that stuff. They basically all came around during those times during the N-Strike series, and eventually with the uprising of the Elite series. So let's just continue going here with the Lighted Up series, which basically talks about glow-in-the-dark N-Strike Vortex blasters. So N-Strike and Vortex blasters that were part of this series, the Lighted Up series that is, would include the Raven, the Lumitron, and some others here and there. And then of course there's the Elite Repaint, which basically talks about blasters from 2013 to 2015 that end up getting repainted in Elite colors. So technically speaking, this right here is kind of what I'm talking about based on how reskinning blasters just like that, simply put, makes it a solid excuse to want to use some of the same names and the like. To that I answer, no. Just no. But anyways, let's move on to Multi-Shot Madness, which I remember so well. There were at least a couple blasters that came around during the series, like the Rough Cut and the Diatron when they first came out in 2013. Then there's the Sonic Ice series. If you're not familiar with the original Sonic lineup of the N-Strike series, which was simply put just using clear lime green plastic and orange accents, then well, the Ice series was basically the Elite version of this. The Ice series pretty much took it to the extreme by adding a clear blue sort of color to their Elite blasters at the time, which included the Retaliator, Rampage, Hailfire, and even the Centurion got an Ice repaint to it. It was also one of the only occasions where we got to see a blue-colored Mega Dart. So let's move on to Code Red, which is basically part of the Rebel lineup itself, but this one in particular was basically meant for utilizing the code darts, which were simply darts that you could write on and use little pieces of red plastic that were semi-transparent, and you'd be able to read certain messages on them. Then there's Sonic Fire. Yet another sort of reskin to the original Sonic series, but this time it's in red instead of blue. You know, ice and fire, together at last. Nothing much to say about that. So anyways, there's the Super Stripes collection, Charm series, the Remix series. Those were all part of the Rebel lineup. And then we have the Zombie Strike sub-series, which included Zed Squad and Bio Squad. And then of course there was Fire Vision Ignite, which were also glow-in-the-dark based Nerf products. But this is another attempt at trying to bring the sports back in a whole new way. Of course, that really didn't last that long because it only ran through 2015, as did most of these Rebel lineup subsidiaries for the most part. Then of course, there's the Dude Perfect series. Yeah, yet another sports series that actually capitalizes on the famous YouTube channel Dude Perfect. And it does a pretty good job too, utilizing that nice cyan sort of color to it with black on it and some light gray. I mean, that's a pretty nice color scheme. Kind of matches up with my phone case here, as you can probably see. Then there's the Glow Strike series, which are basically the more recent variants of Star Wars blasters, utilized with glow-in-the-dark technology. Kind of a pretty good way to put it all together. You got glow-in-the-dark blasters that are pretty much mixed up with the Star Wars series, as in the more famous recent Star Wars trilogy, which I simply call the Rey trilogy. Because it's simply put the trilogy from 2015 to 2019 that starred actors like John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver, and of course, Daisy Ridley. Then, of course, we have the Doomlands Impact Zone, which are basically white variants of the Doomlands blasters, which included ones like the Long Arm and Desolator. Then we have the AccuStrike series, which of course, it is marked down as a sub-series apparently, simply because it's now bonded with a Mega series at this point. Then we have the Battle Camo series, which is pretty much just a subsidiary to the Elite lineup itself, so enough said about that as well. Then there's the Phantom Corps, which is simply white Rivals blasters with the option of using a red or blue colored bandolier in case you want to become part of the certain teams. But these are just white Rivals blasters. Then of course there's the Ghost Ops series, which are just like, well, the Clear series. They're just like the original N-Strike Clear blasters, except they're made for the Modulus lineup. Then there's the Micro Shots, which are basically Jolt EX1 reskins based off of certain other blasters, or of blasters that are based off of certain franchises like Halo or Marvel and all that. Then there's the Zombie Strike Survival System, which is basically a more recent subsidiary of Zombie Strike, including blasters like the Nailbiter and Scavenger and the Quarter, which is basically a double-barrel Jolt reskin. Then there's Vortex VTX, which simply includes, well, those three blasters. It's the most recent subsidiary of the Vortex lineup. Then we have the Camo series, which is a pretty recent Camo series out there, considering how there were a few of them. It's part of the Rivals lineup, however, includes blasters like the Apollo and the Heracles. Then we have the Edge series, another Rivals subsidiary with blasters included like the Mercury and Jupiter, as well as canceled reskins of the Helios and Kronos. Then of course there's the Icon series, which talks about the 50th anniversary of Nerf itself, fitting as it first came around in 2019, and managed to re-release blasters like the Stampede, Elements, and Mag Strike, and included some of their own darts, pretty much. Looked pretty nice for what they were. Then finally, there's Laser Ops Classic, which came around in 2019 as well, and continues to this very day. And then of course, there are a couple other series here that I should mention really quickly. There's the Nerf Dog series, which are simply put just dog toys, and has been around since 2013. Yeah, it's another series that's been around since that long ago. Then there's Combat Creatures, which is yet another lineup that didn't stick around for very long. And I was hoping that it did, because I mean, if you could release such things out there like the Terror Drone, and as well as that tank-looking monstrosity, then why not continue on with that? I do hope that they bring that back, but who knows. Then finally, we have a canceled series known as the Tech Strike series. It's unknown whether or not we actually were going to be able to have this series, whether or not it actually was supposed to be existing, but no matter what the case is, all these franchises just goes to show how Nerf has done so far in the 51 years that it has been around, and even more so with the fact that it's been around under the ownership of Hasbro itself. Hasbro's done a pretty good job with handling of Nerf itself, so if they can do better at it nowadays compared to how they did back then well, we might just see a lot of new stuff come around. We might see more lineups appearing all over the place, and that kind of reminds me though, the Super lineup and the Keen lineup, which are basically what I've given names to the so-called Elite 2.0 and Hyper lineups that are going to be coming around soon. I will have more to talk about based on the Super lineup and the Keen lineups though, because there are still a lot of new updates and a lot of news regarding product placements in these franchises that are going to be coming soon. So let's stick around for more of those. And until I can actually talk more about those series, I still have a lot of new subjects that I should touch up on here on Nerf Secrets Revealed. So if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.